Today, I get the opportunity to talk about how to integrate these new products into your story. Now, I have three important ways that we're going to talk about. This is a little bit more of an informal training, but to get started, I just wanted to say and reemphasize something that David talked about. These are not a replacement for the patches, right? These are not a replacement. These are an enhancement to X39, X49, our star products. And so as we talk about building them into our business, as we talk about incorporating them into our business, we need to go in with that mindset that we're building on top of an already amazing, amazing suite of products and of patches. Okay, so let's talk about step number one, be a product of the product. Now, I'm willing to bet that most of you in this room could sell anyone just about anything, okay? Right? Even if you didn't use it. So why is being a product of the product so important? Well, first of all, it creates authenticity, right? So a couple of months ago, I went out to a little movie called Top Gun. I don't know if any of you have seen it, right? So here I am, and I'm a little bit older than my wife, and so there's a little bit of that, like nostalgia. Well, I walk out of that movie theater, and I said to her, that was the movie we all needed. I was so inspired. I called my friends, I called my family, and she looked at me and she said, yeah, it was all right. What do you mean it was all right? It was a phenomenal movie. But you know what? I probably got 10 friends and family to go see that movie. So I worked in Arizona a couple years ago, and there was this new restaurant that opened down the road, and I'm an early adopter, and so I went down like day one and stood in line for these tacos, and I was like, I gotta try this out. It was phenomenal. I went back, and I promise you, the next day, 30 or 40 people from my office went to that restaurant, and they're still keeping them in business. So there is a power in authenticity. There is a power in storytelling. There's a power in our ability to come with an authentic, way to say, I've tried this is good, and it's amazing. So think about how easy it is when it's authentic. So how do we do that with the sprays? How do we start out, and how do we really incorporate them into our story? Well, one of the first things to understand is whenever starting a new product or a new supplement, we want to evaluate where we're at. And there's some really, really important things that gauge our health. Things like your sleep, like your nutrition, your movement or your exercise, your stress levels. These are all important big bucket items and indicators of how we're doing. So for all of you here personally in attendance who are going to receive these aromatherapy mists, I want you to start out by taking a self-inventory. How are you doing in these areas? How are you feeling today in these areas? For all of you virtually who are going to order these products right when they come out with your special deal, when you get those, take inventory. How are you feeling? And what's amazing about that is when you start that way, and you heard what David just said about these products, who here thinks that maybe one or more of these areas might be affected? You know what I mean? And in marketing, one of the most important things is the experience that people feel. It's the experience of those products, and these are experiential products. You feel them right away. And in fact, my wife actually wants to use it as perfume because they smell amazing, but I'm not giving up mine, so she can get her own. Don't tell her I said that, please. So that's being a product of product. You set that out, and that's called setting a baseline. And setting a baseline is incredibly important. And I'll give you a story. So I started LifeWave about 6 months ago. Now, I'm getting a little bit older, and so I got some aches and some pains, right? I got some things in the shoulder. Getting out of bed is a little tight. And my wife has kind of been noticing this throughout the years. And so I started on X39, X49, and Eon. And I'm going throughout my business, and we live in Arizona, and so we're moving to Utah, and there's a lot of late nights and sleeping on air mattresses and lifting boxes up and down. And about 3 months in is when we moved to Utah. My wife looks at me and she goes, Jeff, what happened? She goes, you aren't sore? You aren't feeling any of that kind of stuff anymore? You're sleeping better? You've got better energy? What's going on? And it hit me. Oh my gosh, well, of course it's LifeWave. Of course that's what's happening. But what's the moral of the story? Is that if something doesn't happen immediately, we forget about it, right? We think, oh, well, I'm better, but I don't know why. Or maybe we don't even notice those subtle changes over time. And so setting that baseline becomes extremely important. The other important thing comes down to documenting your journey. As a product guy for most of my career, I've heard this story a whole lot of times. People start something, and then it's like, it starts to work, and then they feel better, and then they stop it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Well, I'm better. I don't need this. I got better. Well, why do you think you got better? Because you're using the products. But if you aren't documenting that, and I met just an amazing member of LifeWave yesterday, and I wish I could remember her name, but she showed me her phone, and on her phone, she had documented her entire health journey and all the amazing things that are happening. You guys, that is a great habit to get into, especially when building your authentic story on those. The next thing I want to talk about is habit stacking. So there is a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, S.J. Scott, and he wrote a book in 2014 called Habit Stacking. Does anyone know what habit stacking is? Okay, I'm going to tell you for those of you who don't. So habit stacking is this concept that when you want to do something new, you want to pair that something new with something you already have a habit of doing. So for example, we're probably all in the habit, I hope we're all in the habit of brushing our teeth in the morning. So that's something that we're already doing. It's established. We're in a pattern. So a great way to habit stack would be to take, for example, a new member who is coming in and have them put their patches on right after they brush their teeth. Put it right next to your toothbrush because you're stacking that on top of a habit. Now, for all of you in this room, you probably already in a habit of putting on your patches in the morning. So when you go to do the aromatherapy mists, put them next to the patches. And you habit stack. And that creates more consistency, and that creates the ability. And I'll tell you right now, again, as a product guy, what is one of the big problems with starting a new supplement? It's consistency. People come to me, and what does that create? It creates retention issues. Because people start something, and then it doesn't work. But why doesn't it work? Because you're not using it. And it's so funny when you ask the question, you say, well, did you take it? Well, sometimes. Well, why do you think it's not working? So it's that consistency, that habit stacking will help with that. So as you integrate these into your story, you become a product of the product. Just make sure that as you're teaching and you're training your individuals and your members who are buying these products and who are joining our LifeWave family, be consistent. Use these things. Okay, so just as a recap, be a product of the product. Build an authentic story. Set a baseline. Document your journey and habit stack. These are all important things. So we're going to talk about step 2 now, which is creating interest and intrigue. So this can certainly be leading up to a product launch, or this can be with your current products. But I want you all to stop for just a minute and think about this. How many of you have social media accounts? If you're on the virtual, put a 1 in there. Everybody has social media accounts. Most everybody has social media accounts. So you're scrolling through your phone, and you're looking at things, and all of a sudden, you see something that catches your attention. And you stop. You stop the mindless scrolling, and you're like, wow, why? Why did you stop scrolling? Because it was relevant to you. Because it was important to you. Lori says something that I absolutely love. She says, put the customer in the room. Put the customer in the room. What does that mean? It means that as we're thinking about what to post, as we're thinking about how to create interest and intrigue, we got to be thinking about not what's important to us. We got to be thinking about what's important to the people who are viewing our content. So there's some questions that we can ask, like, what do these myths help to solve that many people might be experiencing? What's the reason that somebody might want to try these products? Well, how many of you know somebody who might be struggling with sleep? Probably all of us. And how many people know someone who's struggling with energy? Right? We have an energy crisis. Well, we're caffeinating ourselves like crazy. We're drinking energy drinks. The energy drink market is insane, by the way. We're all over caffeinated, and then we wonder why we can't sleep. So these are 2 really, really big problems that we have right now, are sleep and energy. And what do those align with? They align with the products. And so maybe it's something like this, right? Maybe your post is something like, I've never slept so well in my life, with an engaging photo. Now, are you giving away the product? Are you coming out with a hard sell? Are you coming out with like, I want you to buy this? No. But guess what? Somebody who's struggling sleeping might look at that and say, I struggle to sleep, I wonder what they're doing. And they might like it, they might not like it, but I'll tell you what they'll do. They'll stop and think about it. And maybe the next time they're going to engage with you, and maybe they'll even reach out in a message and say, hey, I struggle with that too. What are you doing? I can't remember the last time that I felt energy like this. And maybe it's a photo of you and your family hiking a mountain. By the way, I live in Utah now, and the mountains, they're like this. And so, holy smokes, it is not as easy as it was. So the next thing is in step 2 in creating interest and intrigue is to share that authentic story, right, that we built in that stage 1. Now, I want to share a story with you that happened a couple of weeks ago. That I still kind of laugh about. So my mom, she just hit retirement. She was a special ed teacher her entire life, just a phenomenal lady. But she was one who could never sit down. Do you guys know anyone like that? My mom could not sit down, ever. We couldn't get her to. Family events, anything, she was always moving, always doing something. That took a little bit of a toll on her body over time, and especially on her knees. And so she was at my house, and we were going to a family event, and she was sitting down, and I could tell she was in a little bit of pain, and I said, hey, Mom, let me try something. So I went out and got some, she lives in a different state, so I don't see her as often, but she was at my house, so I went and got some LifeWave patches, and I patched her up, right, and she felt so much better. She said, oh my gosh, what is this? Well, I forgot about it, and we went to the family event. Well, about an hour into the family event, I look over, and there my mom is. And by the way, I didn't give her a whole lot of context because we were in a hurry. And she knows a little bit because I talked to her about my role. But I look over, and she's selling my aunt LifeWave patches. She's over there. She's like, look at these things. I don't feel any pain anymore. And I was just blown away. I was like, Mom, whoa. But why was that? Because she had an authentic story. It worked for her. And when we love something like the taco shop that I went to, when we love something like the Top Gun movie, when we love something like LifeWave products, if we're authentic in the way that we share that, and if it's genuine, and if it comes from our heart, that's going to make waves. That's going to make waves, right? Now, I do have to say this. At the welcome reception last night, and as I've been talking with all of you, you have been sharing your stories with me, and I am inspired. I am inspired. I didn't think I could love this company, these products anymore, and I hear your stories, and I'm humbled. I'm humbled to be in your presence, so thank you. All right. So the next thing is leverage the LifeWave content. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this more in just a minute. But just know that as we lead up to a launch, as you're integrating into this product story, you don't have to do it all alone. We're going to do much better as a marketing team, much better as a LifeWave corporate team in providing you the tools necessary so that you can leverage those. And that's a big goal of ours. I'll talk about that more in the next session. Okay, so as a recap to that, create engaging content by putting yourself in the potential customer's shoes, authentically share your story, and then leverage the materials. Lastly, step 3. This one is about preparing and sharing. So okay, here's the thing. We're in a business of duplication, right? So is it realistic for everybody to be a product expert on day one? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, are we grateful when you become product experts? Absolutely. That's amazing. But on day one, the magic thing about our business is I could sign up a new member tomorrow, and they could sign someone up the very next day. They could sign someone up that very day. And they could sign someone up that very day. And if we don't make it easy for them, and if we don't provide materials, then it's really hard. So as you integrate these into your story, just know it's not a burden. We don't want you to feel like you have to know everything tomorrow. And so what we're going to do is provide you tools. So for example, we have a landing page. I'm going to let you scan this now. Scan it, but don't you dare spend time looking down on that page while I'm talking up here. Okay? It's like cardinal rule number 1 of presentations. Don't distract people, but here I am. So you've got the QR code. This is the landing page. Now, this will be available in US and Europe. For all of our international friends, we are working on the regulatory process. We're working on finding a way to get these products to you, and they will come. And when they do, we'll have these pages in your market. Currently, this page is also translated in all languages in the US and Europe that we support. So it'll be available there. Second of all, we have a sales sheet that will be available. Now, this isn't available today, but as we get closer to launch, again, it has the benefits of the product. It's going to have the usage instructions. It's going to have a bunch of other details on there. And not only that, but guess what? We're also going to have a product education presentation. And this is going to be another tool in your tool belt. So it's going to go into all the benefits of the product, but it's also going to talk about the ingredients and give you some details on each of those. And I don't know if you noticed this, but this is all beautifully designed. We have a team under Lori's leadership. I have to tell you, guys, we are upping the quality of our materials. We're upping the quality of our brand. So grateful to be a part of this team and so lucky to work with some amazing people. And then finally, again, social media graphics. We're going to have things that we're going to provide for you. Now, these are just a few examples, but we'll have much better ones. We're going to have some really cool stuff. So I'm not going to spill the beans, but we're definitely going to put some nice teasers together, some nice social media graphics leading up to this launch. Okay, second part of this is host opportunity meetings. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but these are experiential products, guys. These are things that that people can do right away. Now, the only caution to this is do the shine spray, okay? Because if you do the dream spray, we're going to turn it into a slumber party instead of an opportunity event. I don't know that we want to do that. And then lastly, leverage the corporate opportunities. Emily, she has lots of webinars here in North America, and your regional leads can do webinars. There's going to be plenty of opportunities to learn about these products, to invite others, to share this opportunity. So just as I wrap up here today in the last minute or two, I want to talk about one last thing. So you've probably heard, if you've been around for a little bit and listened to some of the webinars, this idea of this daily method of operation, which is working income generating activities. This is not in conflict with that. This is not in conflict. So as you build things into your story, as you build these sprays into your stories, as you build it into your business, it's the same stuff, right? If you're creating interest and intrigue, you're creating opportunities for contact. If you're building an authentic story, you're creating opportunities to share, and sharing creates opportunities to invite and to follow up and to share things. If you're hosting opportunity events, you're inviting people, right? So it's all together. It's all the right activities, and these sprays, these aromatherapy mists can be a part of your business, and I'm confident that people are going to love them. I'm confident that people are going to love them.